Hey guys, welcome back to the Messy Workbench. Sorry it's been a hot minute since I uploaded. I haven't had a chance to do a whole lot of physical work to the model, but I've had a bunch of time to do some digital work to the model. Lately, work and competing to be the fun parent has been kind of consuming my time for the most part. But I've been able to make parts that I never really thought that I would be able to. I'm pretty green when it comes to making 3D files. Typically, if I do, it's simple stuff. Like I said, I'm a mechanic, so I'll make things like plugs for like transfer cases and stuff like that, so that way I can put them in and not have them puke fluid out on me while I'm working, or like trays to put like the master wheel lock sets and stuff like that. Simple stuff. So really, these inserts were the first things that I actually made for a model. Everything else has kind of been a standalone item. So since then, I've been making these, and I realize you're not going to be able to see the details on here. These docking ports, and then I decided it would be a good idea to make these sensor bands, or not bands, but sensor arrays, I guess. I doubt you can see that, but as with everything, I make the file available. You can check out the details, and I will say, like, as nice as I consider those to be, the kit supplied ones, they're really not that bad. They're really not that bad. They got a lot of the key details right, and mine aren't 100% either. I basically measured this, and then I looked at pictures of the studio model, and I could only get a decent picture of this one and this one for the studio model. And the one up front I had to go off of, I'm assuming, was the digital model. I know it was a digital rendering. Not entirely certain if it was the actual studio model or not, but it looks better than what the kit supplied. The main reason why I did these, I was really planning on just using these, but I don't want to go through the hassle of, because like these are square, but on the studio model they're round. They're rounded at the edges, and I didn't want to like just cut in like a little tiny piece. Obviously, I still have to go back and fill in the gaps around here, but I'll get to that. This is actually not the first time I've tried doing video today. I was doing a video on installing this guy, and I snapped this section off when I was trying to cut it off. Instead of just filing it up with it, I was trying to rush to just get it done faster, and I scored it from the back side, and then when I pulled outward on it, it snapped right up in here. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that it happened. I was more disappointed that I should have seen it coming. I really should have seen it coming. So, another thing that I've been working on, which, again, I had no real intentions of doing this, but, so, when you put the spine on, I guess I'll call it the spine, I don't really know what else to call it. When you put this on, honestly, the photon torpedoes actually really aren't that terrible, but they're supposed to end up here. They're supposed to come all the way up under here, and they are the wrong shape, but also the ones with the green strawberry set are the wrong shape. So I figured, I've already made new parts of everything else. I made a model of the photon torpedo launcher. And this one finally came out good. I just haven't considered how I'm actually going to do this. I debated cutting it off here and then patching it. Like, I debated cutting this section off, gluing it on here, and then gluing that on and keeping this as a separate piece. I've also debated just gluing this on here instead of on the rest of the hull, which that's probably going to be the easiest option. But I do want to sand this off before I put it on. Another perk to this is it really covers up a whole lot of seam that we now no longer have to cover. But I think one downside is that there's kind of a step here. I think this is supposed to be kind of flush with that. I'll have to look at the studio model and whatnot and figure that out. I don't really know what the deal is with this spot. It doesn't look right to me, but I really can't say that any part of it looks wrong. I think it might be a hair too narrow, but I don't think there's anything horrendous about it to make it worth widening. I think that might cause more trouble than it's worth. But I've always found this to look weird. Even when I built this kit when I was like 12, I really thought that I was missing a part. Like, it just doesn't look right. I get that there's a door there, but it looks so wrong. It's so out of place. So, but yeah, super excited about these. This one I already trimmed off, but I didn't cure it yet. I found after I washed them, they kind of bubbled up in a spot, but that seems to have gone away. But the curve seems right. I like to glue these things down while they're still a little green, and then I come back and I cure them with a UV light. But that really should be just about it. Now, as with all my other files, I will make all of these available. And I've had a few people say, like, ask if I'm gonna sell these. And dude, every time I go to the post office, like, they just seem like they're so mad at me just for walking in, let alone asking them to send stuff out. I really don't have any interest in selling anything. I provide the files for free. There are many people that are willing to print them out for you. There's local maker spaces, and there's also the option to just buy a 3D printer. You can get a small 3D printer that does resin for about $100, which honestly, between photo etch, if you buy the green strawberry photo etch set and you want to buy the green strawberry sensor arrays, that's over $100 right there. So if we're talking about the Voyager, I mean, most of what I've made available covers most of this. A lot of this, I think, is kind of either obsolete or unnecessary. Honestly, I don't want to crap on Green Strawberry. I know they have some great products. I can't endorse this one. Every part for the missing windows, like these windows, fine. They're fine. Every part for the missing windows, the windows are in the wrong direction. And then the parts for the impulse engines, details are completely missing. They're supposed to have hexagonal holes through here, and they don't. Let's see if I can find the instructions real quick. It's not that sheet. Yeah. They're supposed to look like this. Now, if this was a one-off, that would be fine. But everybody over the last couple of years that has got this same set has this same problem. And I've asked about it. Like, every time they mention that there's a sale, I ask about it. Hey, any plans on correcting that? Never get a response. You know, it'd be one thing if it was just the windows were in the wrong direction, but when there's actual parts on here that are unusable, completely unusable, come on. Come on. But that being said, I don't think that the transporter emitters are really worth using either. Not that they don't look good on there, but they're too thick to be represented in photo etch anyways. The ones on the kit, they look like the decals, like the ones on the studio model look like the decals. So it doesn't really seem like there's missing detail on those. Now, as far as what I've used, I mean, really, the only parts that I know for a fact that I'm using is the window pieces that I used over here. So that's 4. And then like the little details that go on here. I'm most likely using the window piece for here, and the lower saucer. But other than that, I've made most of the parts to replace it. So, if I was to build another one of these and I wanted to use photo etch, I would get the paragraphic set. Well, with all that out of the way, sorry to rant. One thing that I would like to get people's input on is I kind of struggle with knowing what to do about the sections where I'm sitting here filing away. I know that that's not particularly fun to watch, and I also know it's not particularly fun to listen to. But one thing that I've been struggling with is needing to use copyright-free music because the entire library kind of sucks. I've been trying to find stuff that's kind of neutral, but I'd like people's input on whether I should just fast forward, like, you know, Jimmy DiResta style, and you just hear the sped up whatever's going on in my shop. I call it a shop. It's literally my basement. But yeah, I would really like some feedback there. Now, again, as with all this stuff, I will make it available on Thingiverse and post the link in the description. And I guess we're going to get moving. So, like I said earlier, I busted this section off. I got it pretty well cleaned up. There's a little bit of tidying up to do, but it's really just cut out a section and glue this in its place. Pretty cut and dry, pretty simple. With these, if you look carefully, and I'm hoping you can see it on here. It's really hard for me to tell because I'm looking over at my phone and it's a lower resolution version of what's going to be on the actual file. So the top side is thinner than the bottom. So this is the correct amount of distance from the bottom to where this is supposed to sit on the ship. And this is, at least so far on my kit, this has been the correct distance for when this is filed out. Because I just kind of file it up to where the lip is. That being said, I only made the front, middle, and back on one side, and I just mirror it to do it on the other side. So when you print these out and go to do it yourself, just make sure, I mean, not that anybody would ever notice if you didn't mirror it and just did the same direction on both sides, but there's 3 blocks here on the middle one that go toward the front. Back here, there's like 2 there's like two little boxes that are side by side. Those go toward the front. These are all dusty. I haven't cured these yet, so they kind of stick to them. This one, again, there's two little boxes up here. That goes towards the front. But also there's these three dots right there at the top. Those point toward the front. So, but once they're in place, they really look pretty good. I'm actually really happy with the way everything's coming out so far. It's weird because, like, for the most part, everything's going pretty smoothly. Smoother than I would have expected. So going back to the perks of just buying a 3D printer, and I understand money's tight these days, but you can get printable kits. Like, who is it? Model Works, I think it is. They do upgrade parts for so many ships, and they also do full kits. And they are dirt cheap for what they are. But, I mean, this kit alone, the upgrades that you can print pay for themselves. Like, it pays for the printer on the first build. So highly recommend just getting a small resin 3D printer. Plus, the other thing is, like, I was trying to use these. I was trying to use the photo etch docking ports. But I'm clumsy, and I actually glued it in the wrong spot. I glued it flush to the outside and realized I was supposed to set it in some, so then I had to peel it out, and I deformed it. Granted, that's on me. But it doesn't look as sharp as it did. And the only way I can get another one is to buy a whole nother set. You have any idea how many of these I've ruined? I mean, I've ruined some of these just pulling them off the support material because I'm just ripping them off. But I can just print more. I have an unlimited amount of these. So that alone is huge. I mean, you can't even do that with a kit. So tons of bonuses to it. And I really, it's a great resource for builders these days. I had that piece all glued in earlier, and then after I was going to repair this section while I had it glued in place, and then I was just like, you know what, just cut it out. I was just trying to rush through it because I was kind of in a crap mood. Not for any particular reason, just one of those days where I was just like, I have to be an adult. I worked on 3D files for a few days, and now it's like, how do files work? It's kind of funny how you lose your muscle memory that fast. Alright. So. It actually sits in there pretty good. Alright, we'll go ahead and glue that in. Ew. And my glue got all snotty. One thing that's really nice about making videos is having your chair make it sound like you're farting, like just non-stop. Actually, it's about time to replace this chair. I haven't cared to spend a couple $100 on a chair lately. So, one thing that is worth noting, just a sec, I normally don't just glue right onto the model, but where I'm using this specifically to kind of really bond to this area, and I just completely overlooked the fact that I want to keep those holes clear. Just a sec. Whoops, I do. Okay. Alright, so that's not going anywhere. So what I was about to say, when these parts get put in, they will need to have accommodations made for them later. Just because where the saucer, where the lower half goes on, let me grab it. I realize a lot of you have already built this kit at one point or another, but I'm just kind of trying to make a video for everybody that may or may not have done it. So I just plan on sanding these sections off completely, and then I'll probably just add more ribs in here to give me something to really get this to set on, because I think it would be easier to hide a gap down here than right on the face. So, but one thing with this kit, and I know I'm putting a bit of effort into like modernizing it and whatnot, but in my opinion, this still is the best Voyager model. It's not the most accurate, and it does have its flaws, but guys, I don't care to have all my ships in the same scale. I really don't. I much prefer to have them all in a impressive size. Now, oh, that shifted on me. That's all right. I really like the 537 scale kits. They are just the right size. The 18 to 22 inch long size is ideal. I don't have room for a 3-foot refit. I mean, that kit is amazing. That really changed the market as far as what is acceptable for a Star Trek kit. But it's too damn big. It's great, but it's too damn big. And I don't care to. I mean, the Polar Lights Voyager is literally the size of the saucer on the Revell kit. I would rather build this completely box stock, flaws and all, and have an impressively sized kit than, you know, something that's accurate, but the details are too small to notice. So I'm going to come back and fix this later, but we're going to start focusing on these. Now, when it comes to the sensor array placements, when it comes to the back one, this grid line should line up with just about the back of the sensor array. I did make these just a little bit bigger, just so like glue has less of a chance of falling down in there. It's already, you know, close enough up here. I'm just trying to get a little bit of space there. As far as these ones go, it starts right about here at this grid line. On the front one, you get to eyeball that one a bit. There's a little bit of wiggle room. I mean, in reality, there's wiggle room on all of them. Nobody would notice if you were off some. But so after we get them all in, the edge here is a little too sharp. Voyager, the end of Voyager's hull is a bit more rounded over. But this one, this kit has a lot of sink marks. I think they kind of pushed what their abilities were, or they were definitely hitting the limitation of what injection styrene can do, because this is all just from shrinking once it cools. So I don't like using the spot putty, but I'll probably use that around here because these are so shallow that I think that it should actually be able to dry thoroughly before I start sanding it. A lot of times the problem with that stuff is the outermost layer is dry, but the innermost isn't. So you're like, oh, I can sand it, and then you sand it down, it's nice and smooth, but the inside's still soft and you can't tell. And then a couple days later you come back and it's shrunk. I should probably mark out where I'm cutting this. That trick doesn't work so well with a mechanical pencil. That one I'll just file. looks like I gotta go up just a hair more now too. That's easy enough. Okay. That should probably do it. Yeah, it's just the corner that's holding me down now. Like a glove. So I think this was a sculpting tool. I'm pretty sure it came in one of those Hobby Lobby sculpting tool sets. But I've been using it for years for putting super glue on. So I'll just put it on the front side. Make sure I point this in the right direction. So if you leave these uncured, you can warm them up and soften them with a blow dryer, which I have a blow dryer on my bench just so I can quickly set so I can quickly dry paint. Works out pretty well. I don't think I would ever go back to not having one at my disposal. I'm just trying to line it up. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like if I sand over it a little bit, there's a little bit of it is recessed a little bit, so if you sand over it, it shouldn't just start immediately obliterating details. So that first section cured with the residual kicker. Now, I can't remember if I've covered the the docking ports in another video. Mainly because I've shot a few videos and then, you know, either don't use footage or I wind up saying it while I'm also speeding something else up. There's one file. Sorry, there's two files in the download. These two are flat, but the one for the front is curved. So just keep that in mind. I've been saving this one for last because I'm looking forward to it the least, which normally I do the part that sucks the most first. Then it's just smooth sailing after that, but for whatever reason I did it differently this time. So I'm going to end this here. It's just the same process, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.